what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into the rundown. Got a special guest in with me today, a man of many names, Coach Silly, Silas Warren Murray. How's it going, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. It's always fun to, see and speak to good old Brentwood wrestling alumni.
Definitely a man of many talents, many stories. Not too many that we're gonna share on here, but a guy nonetheless that is somebody I looked up to when I was coming up back in middle school and high school. Somebody, the mentor to me, like I said, also somebody that, helped me out a lot when I was trying to make a jump in my career as a wrestler. And he's now doing the same for a bunch of other youths out in Providence, Rhode Island, program director for Beat the Streets Providence. How's it going, bro?
It's going well. With everything considered, you know, I've been busy. We're not doing too much wrestling, so to say, or in-person activities, but I've been busy building programs, building some systems, trying to make sure that this coming school year, the kids have an opportunity to still be with their brothers and sisters on the wrestling team, connecting with, the community, being a part of the school culture. So it's been an interesting time getting all that together and prepared.
Right. I want to get, right to the beginning of everything. So, what was it that well, before I even say that, I know wrestling's been a big family thing, for you and your brothers and everything. And you were really the one that, helped spearhead that. But, what was how did you get your start? Did you start wrestling about seventh, eighth grade? Had a friend on the team or just somebody that kind of recruited you to get on? How'd that work out?
It was sixth grade. I was at West Middle School, and I got one of those like flyers. Do you want to join Brentwood Kid Wrestling? And I was in class with Jarrell Garcia, who is also another wrestling family, Nelson Garcia, his older brother Vinny. So I saw the flyer, and I giggled at first. I was like, wrestling, oh, that's interesting. I love WWF, so I think I'm interested. And I said it to Jarrell and his brother while we were at my house, like just having like a dinner, I guess. And my brother John was there too, and I'm just like, I don't know how this makes sense. You can't get hit with a chair. There's no how do you train for that? Like, this can't be real. He's like, no, it's not like that. I'm like, I don't know what it's like then, because that doesn't make any sense. And he told his dad. His dad spoke to my mom. They signed us up automatically. I went to wrestling practice at Brentwood High School, and I looked into the room as my parents were signing up the forms, and I saw John JJ Larkin and Dave Rodriguez drilling, because they were like the little studs of the program, and they were like doing fireman's carry. But at that time I was like, what is happening? I don't know about this anymore. But yeah, that's how it started.
So how was it for you? Was it like something you kind of instantly picked up after like that first week, or did you like kind of gradually get better at it?
It was a long gradual time. Like the kids I'm teaching now pick up so fast, and other kids around I picked up so fast. But I was not good. I won one match, and I think I lost like 13. So not that talented at all. And I was just I was growing into the sport, and I think my biggest love for it was just that I was such a noob, to say, and I didn't know much, and I knew there was so much room for growth because I had best friends that made me want to join. I was competitive already, so it just kind of made sense.
Definitely. Um, so middle school comes around now. You're moving on to that next level. How was it at that time? Being a part of the middle school team after spending that 1 year in kid wrestling.
Yeah, that was exciting because that's when, seventh graders are finally allowed to join middle school sports. So I was like, I'm gonna join wrestling. It's one of the coolest sports. You're like the badass in the school, basically. So it was like, why not be a part of this? But yeah, just that component of having like older kids on the team who like truly looked out for you. Like I always felt comfortable in school knowing that, kids that were on my team would actually have my back, that I just met just because we went through struggles in practice and, those sprints and those exercises and all the conditioning. You go through a crazy bond. So just having that with me on my side, it was like a no-brainer why I'd stop doing something like this. And, I was all right in 7th grade. 8th grade is when everything really clicked and wrestling became a passion for me.
I think around the time the high school, once you got around the high school is when, like, I feel like things really started to take off for you instantly. You came into a room where you had Kenny Torres, who was going for a state title, the Randy Medinas, all county wrestlers, Omi Ortiz's, Mike Miranda's, Mike Rojas's, with, Nappy spearheading that whole thing. Like, what was the atmosphere like for you at that time coming into that?
I was still 9th grade. We were still in the cafeteria. So like I don't know, it created this element that was just so powerful. Like, we're a 9th grader, and then you have this small wrestling room that you just hear all the loud music. You hear like the groans, you hear the excitement, you just hear all this noise in this room. And what I thought was so cool is that the varsity members came down to the cafeteria at that moment, and Coach Knapp or one of the coaches had people they already kind of had their eye on. So they would pick a guy like, oh, Gerald Garcia, come to the room today. And then all of us are just like, yo, we could get into the room if we work hard and we like kick butt and we're training hard. And when there's like a possible 2 or 3 spot, we get in there. So it put so much excitement in that room and raised the competition level. Like, we were a team, but we were also trying to beat each other up and get into that room. So it was something different for sure.
What was the first varsity experience like for you?
The first varsity experience, I remember it was me and Eric DRC. We went in, and I believe that was because Kenny Torres was still coming down to 112, I believe. So it left the room for me and Eric DRC to be in that room. But to be in that room and see kids like Sean Haney, Martino, Anthony Rivera, like all those guys, Omi, like it was just a crazy room. And you knew you were the new guy or the youngest one, and you didn't want to not look good or not show up. So like, you always were on top of your game. And like, anytime there was a moment where you would get called out and like the guys would kind of pick on you or push you, not really pick on you, but just give you that like that weird wrestling encouragement, like, yo, step up or peace out, like, get out of here, you're in my way. Stop.
Yeah.
My space.
Yeah, I think that's something too, like me talking about me being like the younger guy. You guys always did a good job of kind of like passing that on. Not in like a disrespectful way or anything like that, but kind of get on your job. I know, like, me and your relationship, there were times where I was feeling down and everything. You always made sure to kind of, you weren't necessarily, I don't know how to put that, because you were never a mean person, but like you made sure to get at me in a specific way that wasn't like you were coddling me or anything, but like you were helping me out, and I've, not just myself, but many other guys too. And I felt like that's always been like kind of like a element that's always been there for Brentwood wrestlers.
Yeah, just that older brother mentality. Like, I'm gonna take care of you and treat you how I would do with any of my brothers, and just bringing that power into anyone's life and just showing real compassion and like not just like I care for you, but like we are something that's bigger than us, and we want to see this tradition continually go and grow. And that's what makes Brent wrestling so powerful. Nappy, Casey, Salinger, Rivera, like names go on, Restrepo, like Gallagher, like names go on, and these guys really kept this culture of wrestling around, which is just beautiful.
Yeah, most def. You brought up an interesting name there too, because after like that freshman year season, and the Brentwood program had already been, a top tier program within Suffolk County. But after that '04 season, things really started to take off. Back to back league titles. Getting in there, competing for county titles, had guys winning individual county titles and everything. And around this time is when Casey Beach had, who's a Brentwood graduate, Brentwood wrestler, had come back into the fold, into the coaching staff. Kind of talk to me about what that was like, and, what he was able to do for you and the guys around you.
Casey Beach is the man. He, like, I came from a good family. I had both my parents, my mom and dad, to be there support me. I had family, and then people within the wrestling team. Mama Calderon, that whole atmosphere. But Casey was he was. I have many mentors, but he's a mentor and a coach that will always forever stick with me because he was fresh out of college, looking to get back into the Brent room. There wasn't space for him as far as payments go, from what my knowledge was at that time. Um, so he literally is like, I want to be a part of this. I want to keep helping out Brentwood Wrestling. So he dedicated all of his time to Brentwood Wrestling, where, as far as I know, he wasn't getting any payments. I'm sure, it's the love for it. When you have a love for a sport and a culture, and Brentwood and specifically, like, you'll give your time back, no problem. So like he did so many things. Coach Restrepo and Salinger were running like kind of like our club practices with the Beach Boys and all that stuff. So opening up to other people outside of us. But yeah, they were doing a really great job. And then Casey came in with that young energy. Like, I'm willing to do your days, my days. I could do as much as I can. And he really took over, and he brought a group of us from '08, '09, my year 7, and really brought us all together and made us a strong bond where I still see these guys today.
Yeah, I could definitely attest to that too. I remember hanging out at Mama Calderon's house, and it's literally, you talk about the kind of people you're surrounded by. I remember walking into Mario and Travis's room. There's literally like a row of beds. So like, that's when you talk about that brotherhood. That's really real. Kind of talk to me about like what it was like, during, specifically during those times. There was a lot of winning going on, but there was like a lot of love too. Like what was that atmosphere like?
I think we competed against each other in the best way possible. Like, we all wanted to be state champ, we all wanted to be a county champion. We all set goals, like, out loud to ourselves and between each other. We all knew what we wanted, so we held each other accountable. Like, as far as like off-season training going, Casey taking us all over the place and giving us all these places where we could compete, and having the opportunity that he was able to help us out that way. And we had maybe not everyone's family, but everybody's family who was able to support, like, helped with the carpooling. So it was great just being able to see consistent competition through a spring and a summer wrestling season, which is like when I first realized, like, wow, I could have been wrestling literally the entire year and not skipped a beat. And he gave us that opportunity. We met different wrestling clubs. We got to practice with different high schools. He really opened the door and opened our eyes to how big this sport is. And I think that just is it repeats itself in a sense. Like, he came from Ithaca right out of college, and then we saw the same thing right now with Alex Gomez coming right out of college and back in the room. Alexis Blanco, Eric Orlana, these kids who been through the program, saw the same culture of wrestling and kept that growing, and then still able to do the same and just repeat and give back. I think it's just that's why we are who we are.
Yeah, most def, most def. You but it was really you and your brothers, but like I said, like you kind of spearheaded it all. You had an interesting style of wrestling. It was even something that I kind of tried to pick up too, like when I was like in ninth, 10th grade. Can you kind of talk to me about that and like how that came about?
Yeah, I think it comes from, like I said, sixth grade. I was not that great. And I remember, like, sixth grade and seventh grade, really specifically, I remember just kind of wrestling and just like almost like blacking out, like where you go in to almost like a fight and you're like, I'm not too sure what happened. Sometimes it comes out a win or a loss, but then you kind of just come back to yourself. You're like, I don't know what happened. So I think what kind of happened a lot of times is, like, I would revert to a very defensive style. So for my sixth grade year, my seventh grade, I think I was figuring out a lot of that defense along the way, like how far I could go before I could get myself taken down. And like, I think as time progressed, I started figuring out, like, you know, defense isn't one dimensional. It's not just straightforward in a sprawl. It's like, you have to take my legs, control me, and get me down to the mat, which is a whole process, like wrestlers know. And even seeing MMA, like, it's not as easy as just grabbing a leg and pulling you down. Like, there's a whole process and a game behind it. And it just became like almost an art where it became a game. And like a lot of times, like you mentioned, I would give back and come back to the room and like wrestle around with you and like all the other people. And I think as I wrestled with younger generations or younger kids on the team, I didn't have that nature in me that I just wanted to beat somebody up. So I would let them see how far they could get to take me down. And in that process, I would kind of figure out all the obstacles and doors that I had to kind of close so I couldn't get, taken down at all.
Right, right. So, high school comes to a close for you. I know while you were successful, you didn't probably attain the goals that you had set for yourself. So you're going through the stages of, what you want to do post high school. You end up at Nassau. Did you like know right away that you wanted to go JUCO? Or was that like kind of just something that happened? Like what went into that decision?
So Casey Beach got us the opportunity to visit Ithaca and take a college tour, so to say, where we stayed overnight and really got an experience of what a college team is and how they, unite with each other. And we got to see college wrestling. So I thought I was going to end up at Ithaca, to be completely honest. And I didn't do all the right things like I should have with my grades. I got really lazy at times, and my grades just, took me a while to really realize that school is very important and you should take it serious at all times. And I shouldn't have just been lazy and focused on wrestling at one point. But yeah, I got lost in translation. Sorry. Where were we at?
Just, you talking about your grades and everything and thinking you were going to go to Ithaca.
Yeah, so I remember going to the Empire State Game trials, and I was talking to a couple older people, and they were asking me my plans, and I was like telling them I was interested in Ithaca, and they're like, "Well, junior college isn't a bad place to go." So I ended up kind of looking more into Nassau, speaking to some of our coaches, and they mentioned that they were at Nassau at points in time. So I was like, I know it sounds like a great place to try out. And then as I looked into it, I realized like they were a brand of national champs in the JUCO world. So it just like, all right, why not go here and, maybe see what the next year I go back to Ithaca or find another home. But yeah, that's how I got there. Just word of mouth.
Well, I know you had some interesting experiences there, like stuff I still hear to this day. Even like when I was at Nassau wrestling for Coach Volgar, to this day, Coach Volgar still brings you up in high regard. Pretty much, you're like the favorite wrestler he's ever had. What was it like wrestling for him under there? What exactly did you do to be in such high regard to him all these years later?
I always do think that's interesting because, it comes up every now and again when Vogart's name comes up and he shows me love like I'm still in this room. But I don't know. I just don't like losing, and he always was a big thing in front of me that I had to like beat or show that I was good. And he's a world champ and a world renowned wrestler, and I just came at him every day and try to beat him, take him down, be as mean as he was. And no matter what, he always was a presence that always challenged me, whether it was sprints or workouts. He just, I don't know, and he liked Brentwood, so he pulled out a lot of strings on me. But yeah, he was a consistent person that he would choose to wrestle me often. He wrestled with everyone, but for whatever reason, he liked beating me up. And I used to just throw the kitchen sink at him. It didn't work. I would come close, but yeah. And then I definitely helped wrestle with his program. I helped do his personal. So we got in a really good relationship. He built a lot of trust with me and saw that I came from a good family with really good work ethic from Brentwood. So great guy.
Yeah, most def. I can definitely attest to that. You walked out of Nassau an All American, correct?
Yes, I did my freshman year.
So once you finished up your eligibility at Nassau, I know you took some time off. Can you kind of get into that with me? Like what went into that decision? As far as like, were you still trying to work on your grades to get somewhere else? Did you just want to take time off from school and the sport in general? Like what was going on with you at that point?
To be honest, I think I was just a little lost in life, like how we all do. We kind of don't know the direction. We had an idea and it kind of got lost in translation, especially sometimes. And with me specifically, I kind of got lost in Brentwood a little bit, got involved in just everything involved with what it is to grow up in Brentwood. And not all of it's bad. Some of it is great and it helped with my growth. But yeah, I just got caught up and I was trying to figure myself out. I was working, doing part-time work. And, when you grow up somewhere, you could kind of figure out all the avenues you could take. And I knew I was going to end up coaching somewhere. And I wanted to coach with Brentwood. I always would give back to Brentwood, but I also wanted to find my own path in a sense. Um, it took me a couple years to figure that out. And then my brother was at Bridgewater State, continued his wrestling journey. And I was thinking about Hunter. I started really enjoying that whole like city lifestyle. And I was thinking to move out there. My brother was at Bridgewater, like I said. He competed with Rhode Island College. He took a visit out there, I think what it was. And he's like, you should check out this college. I think you would like it. Took a trip to Rhode Island and I got a good experience, and it's been home ever since.
Well, talk to me about, that experience about Rhode Island a little bit. Like, I think the theme here is family, and being around, your brother John at that time. Like, what was it like being able to be teammates with him, be that 1-2 punch and, really just, kind of go through that thing together?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was going to get into necessarily. I met the wrestling team. I met one individual who actually is my roommate right now, Sean Giblin. But knowing that you have a family, a brother who could push you, you guys have the same goals. You want to make Brentwood proud. You want to make mom and dad proud. You want to make the whole town happy, make a name for yourself. We just knew that no matter what happened, where we were, what situation, we were gonna do great together. It's like me if I wrestled with you somewhere. If I wrestled like you wrestled with Marsh, it's just like
Yeah,
they decide out that you're not gonna stop. You're gonna put it all in.
most def. Not good. You have more to say?
No, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna kind of get more into that time in Rhode Island. Um, you know, I think that year specifically was really interesting too, because you and John had both qualified for nationals that year. And I guess the other thing too is on the Ithaca side, you had the Gomez brothers, Ricardo and Alex. I think probably a big theme for us was seeing you and Alex go at it. I don't know if you guys ever got the chance to, but with those things in your mind, like, was there anything with that specifically, or anything else you were looking forward to that season?
Yeah, I mean, it was great to know that I'm on the D3 wrestling level, and there's other Brentwood wrestlers competing around the same time. We have a national run. Even better that I'm in a weight class with one of my Brentwood teammates. Is just awesome, and it always created this component of adding in an extra layer of training that like I'm gonna train as hard as I can because I have goals. But also I know that there's one of my teammates who I see as a brother who's competing upstate New York who I'm gonna see at a regional tournament and a national tournament. So adding that layer was just amazing. And Ricardo was a teammate of mine for Brentwood and Nassau. To see him go through a national runner-up 2 years in a row is just a beautiful thing to be a training partner of. So just amazing stuff.
You ended up getting on the podium as well at the Division 3 level. Kind of talk to me about that. Was that like, all this work that you put in, you're finally seeing like the fruits of your labor kind of thing? Did you walk away about it a little unsatisfied? Because I'm sure you wanted to be at the top of that podium. Like, what was going on there?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy I got on the podium. My goal is to be a lot higher, and through my life decisions of taking time off and getting older, everything plays into effect, and that's not to give an excuse. I just there's I think we all have a time limit sometimes, or an area where we're prime, where we should continue going. So I don't regret anything at all, and I don't think I would ever go back. But is there things I could have did differently to get higher? Yeah, of course. But nothing I regret at all. It was a beautiful ride, and I am where I am now, and I would never change where I am now.
Well, you mentioned where you're at now, and that's, the program director for Beat the Streets Providence. How exactly did you get into that role? Like, what was your introduction to that?
So it was actually brother John, my brother. He was doing some outside training, and he met up with a kid who was also from New York, who wrestled at Brown University, Billy Waterson, who Alex Gomez actually wrestled at the state tournament. I want to say his 11th grade year, maybe. Um, but yeah, they kind of met up. Billy was looking into Beat the Streets Providence and trying to grow it, and me and him and my brother kind of knew each other, so they were going through as many avenues together and trying to really make sure they're talking and speaking to all the right people as much as they knew. So they kind of started going forward with that, and I was done with wrestling uh, after 2014, and John was still continuing. So I had time to coach and look for an internship through college classes I was taking. So it was a perfect timing.
How exactly did you get into the role where you're at?
Just being a part of the program, coaching for several years, and then I took this role through Brown University called AmeriCorps Vista, volunteer in service to America. So just a paid volunteer position where I took a year backwards to kind of learn the organization more, understand nonprofits a little bit deeper, and make more connections within Rhode Island. So I come into this role that I am now better prepared and really knowledgeable of all aspects.
One thing I feel like I've noticed with you, kind of getting back to the influence of KC Beach, is when I see you posting like the videos and the pictures of you and those kids, it definitely reminds me a lot of the stuff that we had gone through together, back in our days. What's it been like stepping into that coaching role, number one, and how much of an influence has Casey had on you, and who are kind of the other people that have been around you that have had an influence on you to the way that you coach and how you are around your wrestlers?
Yeah, yeah, you brought up all the right points, and that's exactly what happened. I can't sit here and be like, oh, everything the way I coach is because of me. It's because of everything people instilled into me and got to be a part of. Casey Beach was definitely the biggest aspect of it all, just because of all the time I spent with him, with all the teammates from '07, '09, and my own class. But yeah, just understanding what a mentor feels like and what that mentor does out of true love for the sport, and that ability to pass wisdom really stuck home with me. And just his wrestling style, a little bit the way he taught. But then like people like Coach Restrepo always putting such a strong base and focus on hand fighting, how important it is. And that kind of almost translated into like how Volgar teaches and the way he is, and just how he's just super mean, super aggressive, and you just being relentless and just continuous, and kind of some of his philosophies and how direct he is with his coaching. But then of course, you got people like Coach Knapp who brought this whole aspect of a family together and made you really understand that like you got to be a community, and it's all together. And at the end of the day, wrestling is wrestling, but it's much bigger than that. And also I had people here in Rhode Island that showed me all the right ways. Like I had a person that's a close friend but a mentor to me as well, Ed German, who he explained a lot to me and really broke down a lot of different components that I should understand. And just having roommates and teammates from Rhode Island College, and really making me understand the importance of what this Rhode Island, Providence, and this whole New England kind of really looks like and is put together.
Right on, right on. How's life been out there, man? What's the difference between being up in Long Island, New York City, and being over there?
Well, the things I definitely miss besides friends and family, good pizza. That's you got to know the right place out here, and there's nothing compares. Breakfast sandwiches are not as great out here compared to New York. Bagels are actually very, very different, oddly enough. New York bagels are something different. But also like the nightlife in New York, just that you could be out to like 4 and be able to go. It's a lot open where you could do things, where Rhode Island closes a lot early, the nightlife, and bars and restaurants, they're closing around like 1 o'clock. So like your night starts a lot earlier in that regards. But besides that, like, the one thing that kept me here, just like Brentwood, is just that whole family aspect, having people that truly care for you from the sport of wrestling, who became, family and brothers and all that great stuff. I still chat with my college coach pretty often. We work very closely together through wrestling programs, but besides that, we'd still be talking pretty often just because, you know, he has that relationship like a Knapp or Casey Beach or, you know, anybody from a Brentwood coaching relationship. But life is great, you know, being able to do wrestling as my full-time job is just what else can you ask for, you know?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. If there's like anything, that you through all your experiences from wrestling and just life in general that you've like taken and like could sum up, I guess what would that be?
I think that has to go with probably like my favorite quote of all. Everything happens for a reason. You know, I'm here today because of everything I've been through, the good, the bad, the ugly, the bonds, the growth, having connections with people, then not having connections with people, having certain people be in my life for a certain amount of time. You know, everything comes into effect. And, you know, I try really not to look back in the worst ways, but just to look back, just to, you know, remember where I came from, things that I've been through, things that I've saw. But yeah, just a firm believer in that phrase, everything happens for a reason.
Most def. I like it. I like it a lot, man. Warren, I want to thank you for coming on. This was real enjoyable. I hope these good things that have been happening to you continue to happen. Definitely want to see those kids you're coaching prosper as well. So it's Silas Warren Murray and
Yeah,
Rich Perez. We will catch you guys next time, man.
take it easy. Peace, brother.